My name is Tennis Instead. This is the 8-Sided Blog. Today we're going to talk about the week when I became a show person. So, when I was very young, I was absolutely dead set on being the first man on Mars. And I went to space camp a number of times. I had a lot of opportunities. I had pen pals in the space program as a little boy, and then I started taking science classes and realized that it wasn't everything I wanted it to be. I went to Phillips Andover Academy, and their science department was very rigorous, and I just did not like physics and math in the way that I thought I was going to. So I decided I was going to be a writer. And I was very wrapped up in the ideas that I had, the science fiction worlds exploding out of my brain. I had a lot of the same passion and a lot of the same lust for wordsmithing that I see in a lot of the writers that I work with today, and then something crazy happened. The person who was running all the tabletop role-playing games that I was involved in came up to me one day, and he asked me if I wouldn't mind jumping on Spotlight for a production of Merrily We Roll Along, which is a Sondheim musical that was getting produced at my boarding school. And I was happy to oblige. I didn't have any aspirations of working in the theater, but all my friends were in theater, and I thought it was cool, and it was something that I wanted to be a part of, just to kind of be more involved in their lives. So I agreed. And that night, he took me into the theater after everybody was gone and the whole space was dark to acquaint me with the ancient Spotlight that I was going to be running for this show. Before we go any further with this story, I need to preface it for anybody who's not familiar with kind of the East Coast theater community by saying that theaters within the theater community, and in particular Points East, are widely regarded as haunted spaces. And it's because 100 years ago, a lot of the equipment that people were using to run stage productions was extremely dangerous. People died in theater all the time. And there's a lot of ghost stories, a lot, and this is a ghost story. We entered the space, and the spotlights were being run from a second mezzanine above the first mezzanine, so the third story up. And that space was mostly used for storage. There wasn't going to be any audience back there. And the spotlight that I was running was on house left and stage right. So that's where we went. We went to the third mezzanine, house left, and the spotlight was right up against the edge of the railing, right? And behind the spotlight, as a complete surprise to Alan, or so again, I am not going to tell you whether or not the events that I'm describing are supernatural in nature. I'm just going to tell you what I saw, and I will leave it for you to decide whether or not this person set me up and played a prank on me very successfully, or whether something else was going on. Okay? Behind the spotlight, there was a stack of chairs that nobody had put there. There were 3 chairs in the southwest corner, just one next to the other, and then 2 chairs upside down on top of those chairs, and then 1 chair right side up on top of those 2 chairs, so a pyramid, okay? And the top chair was right next to the roof of the space. And in the top corner, where a person might be sitting if they were sitting in that top chair, there was a faint glow. And it could have been a reflection, it could have been a number of things, except there's no windows in this theater. So it had to be a lighting instrument that was coming from somewhere in the space. And the problem that we were having was that we were the last ones in the theater, so we need to make sure that the lights are off and that everything's powered down, because we don't want there to be a fire in the middle of the night that could have been prevented, right? So Alan and I spent the entire night basically hand-checking every single lighting instrument in the entire theater. And there wasn't anything that could have been producing that glow. And when you waved your hand in front of the light, you couldn't figure out where it was coming from. So eventually we gave up trying to find the light, because it couldn't have been coming from anywhere. And I also don't believe that the man that I was with would have left that space if he had thought that there was a lighting instrument on that shouldn't have been. Don't believe it for a second. So, I'm going to be running the spotlight in front of these chairs. The paranormal theory here would be that someone wants to see the show. And the problem with where this spotlight is located is that it's directly in between the stage and this third seat. You see what I'm saying? Here's me. I'm in the way. Opening day, we have a matinee and we have an evening show. And we get the power turned on to the third mezz. We come upstairs to run the spots, me and Alan and one other person. And the spotlight that I'm going to be running, we get it plugged in, we get it set up. It's not shutting off for whatever reason. Okay, the only way to get it shut off is to unplug it and remove it from the show, at which point it wouldn't need to be in the way of that third seat. But we have a blocking set up that requires all three spots, so I'm not moving the spotlight. And I do the first half of the show by unplugging and plugging in the spotlight manually, okay? And we make it to the intermission, we get through the intermission, I plug the light in after the intermission, and the whole thing just explodes in a shower of sparks. And of course, I unplug it immediately, and while Alan and the other person running spot finish the second half of the show, I run the spotlight down to the shop just to make sure that it's not around anything flammable. When the show's over, we have a couple of hours in between, now and when the second curtain happens. So we take the light apart and there's nothing wrong with it at all. Inexplicably. The light works fine. In fact, if we plug it in the shop, it doesn't even stay on. It works normally, and you can turn it on and off just the way it's supposed to be. We did not take that light back upstairs. Nope. That's enough of that. We relinquished the space. And I ended up helping Alan run the other spot for the remainder of the show's run, and everything worked out fine. And take from that what you will. But what I took from that is that it's a place of magic, and that strange, inexplicable things can happen in that space. And I think that's a big part of what hooked me on show business, is the actual magic of it. I just figured I'd share that little bit of magic with you. So, take from it what you will. If you like what you're getting from these 8-sided blogs, please be sure to click the like button. Please click subscribe so that you get your updates. You gotta click the little bell so you get the alerts when a new 8-sided blog comes live. And thank you for showing up. Have a great week. I'll see you next week.